are live. Hello, dear Starshines. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another edition of the Lunchtime Chats. I'll give everybody a moment to get on board. Say hello. Let me know you're here. Hello, dear Sister Felicia. Good morning. Good day to you as well. I am yet in another location. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope everybody has had a good week, or a week that they can say, I made it. All right, so for those of you who are new, my name is Christina and I am a consciousness acceleration expert. And we are here to talk about those topics and issues that are significant for us starseeds, wayshowers, and new paradigm visionaries. We have capacities, we have abilities that are not embraced by our larger human family. And because of this, we have a very unique perspective to what we perceive and experience going on in this crazy, wonderful, chaotic, miraculous realm that we are currently occupying. So welcome, 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 everybody. Hello to Sister Carol. Thanks for saying hi. Good to have you here. All right, so I am currently at another location. I'm here to do a training that has to do with liberating the nervous system. And it turns out that this particular modality is excellent for releasing things like PTSD and other sorts of ailments that hinder our immune system, hinder our nervous system, and hinder pretty much our capacity to be relaxed and flowing within our own biosuits. Hello, Laura. Welcome, welcome. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. We have a few things to talk about. And of course, we're still on the beat of transformation and the kinds of transformations we are headed for. And if there's anything particular you would like me to tune into or talk about, go ahead and put in the comments, and I'll get to that as well. All right, so it was last year at this time, maybe a little bit less. I was inspired to get involved with this training, and I really didn't understand why at the time, because I wasn't necessarily drawn to the person who teaches this, but there was something about the modality itself I felt was extremely potent and significant to be a part of bringing it forward to humanity, to the masses. And I just got done talking to a few people that have been practitioners, that have had lots of who have received this work, and quite literally the testimonials are phenomenal. I mean, miracles. I mean, it's from babies to children to adults to the elderly. So many people benefit from having their nervous system unwound from the hindrances. So the hindrances can be emotional, it could be physical, it could be chemical. And it turns out that a lot of the physical stuff is started by the chemical or emotional. And it's very interesting how those two things go hand in hand. So this is a great thing for us to talk about, because as visionaries, as wayshowers, we of course address the kinds of things that are impacting our body in a very different way than a traditional someone who's on that traditional Western medicine or allopathic medicine, as I like to say, approach, because we understand the dynamics of our biosuit is a lot, cannot be addressed by getting diagnosed and taking a pill. True healing means facilitating exactly what the body needs for it to repair itself. Now, holistic health and wellness has been targeted for many decades. But I was lucky at a very young age to get exposed to holistic healing and wellness as a teenager. And I was meeting people who were curing themselves from cancers of all sorts, of heart disease, of even things like arresting the symptoms of MS and other kinds of neurological diseases on a holistic level. So to me, I learned at a very young age, like I said, as a teenager, that it is possible. And I got to talk to people who are doing it. And I also got to be a part of how they're doing it. And it's, of course, it's lifestyle. There's never, there's no magic pill. Unfortunately, we wish there was. I know that would make life easy. But the fact is that the matrix that we live in is not designed to sustain life on a long, in a way that makes it flourish. The matrix that we're occupying, or I should say the matrix that's overlaying our reality, is a looshing matrix. It's all about drawing, extrapolating life force energy, extrapolating and draining love, compassion. It's like it weaponizes everything to become a drain on our lives, and it's like that until it's not. And this is like back in the 90s, I was working with people who were finding ways to heal and miraculously recover from things that they were told were not recoverable from. So like I said, you know, this has been around for a very long time, and there have been amazing advances. I mean, profound, quite literally to the level where there is no reason for people to be dying of heart disease. There is no reason for people to be dying from different cancers, because there are cures for all of these things. And I know that it's dangerous territory saying the C word, the cure word in the same sentence as cancer, but it absolutely is the truth. It is the truth. It may be a winding road of discovery to get to what exactly that you need to heal yourself, to facilitate everything your body needs for it to heal itself. But the fact is, it's possible. It's just, it's not a one-stop shop. It's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's, you know, it's lifestyle. A lot of people are, are ill because they had parasites starting at a very young age, and that evolved into all sorts of problems. Some people are, overwhelmed with anxiety or have certain mental illness issues, really because chemically they've been poisoned without knowing it. It was in the water, it was in one thing or the other, and they're sensitive to it. So all these things are getting revealed. And the reason why I'm talking about them here with you guys now is that we are in a transformational process. And you guys know this. You don't need me to tell you that, of course. But I want to illustrate some of the things that are really important, because we're wayshowers, because we're visionaries, that are really significant for us to be paying attention to and watching. So I talk about the systems, right? The Saturn systems, the medical system, the governing systems, the the military systems, the way we grow our food, the way we educate ourselves. All these different systems are governed, or were governed, by the being that we call Saturn. Okay. Now, if you're not interdimensional yet, you're going to be in this conversation, because this is how we roll. So there are many nesting dolls of levels of consciousness that are informing our here and now. No illness, no event started here. It's all an expression of these things going on in the unseen realms. Okay. So these systems that are falling away right now in our reality, they're falling away because the outer nesting doll of support that held those systems in place has dissolved. It's dissolving. And even though it dissolves in the unseen world, it doesn't mean that it's not without its pain and suffering in this world. Pain and suffering happens because we have a lot of things attached. We have a lot of things holding on, right? There's a lot of gripping going on. And this can be in the macro and the micro level. No doubt you guys have had some sort of, liberation crisis on a personal level. But this is also on the macro level, on the collective level. So the medical system is one of those things that's falling away. It's not based in truth. It's not based in healing. It's based in making money, right? Insurance companies, great example. It's all about making money. And another lifetime ago, in this biosuit, I worked for temporarily for an insurance company, and they had an entire floor of people. I'm talking about 100 people, a whole staff of 100 people, doctors, nurses, administrators, analysts, stuff like this, TI people, IT people. And the whole reason why that floor existed was to find the loopholes in their policies so they can deny claims. Because the more claims they deny, the more money that insurance company makes. just to paint a little picture of the level at which the profit machine is at work in this particular branch of the Saturn systems. Banking, you guys know that banking makes money off of you. They make money off of your money, and then they charge you fees to get your money out of the ATM. They charge you fees for this and for that, right? Another system that will also be falling. Now that one, believe it or not, is more scary than the medical system falling for a lot of people. And that's because, you know, we have this idea that money gives us freedom, money gives us safety, money is what is important, okay? That is a bass-ackwards value system, because straight up, guys, I know billionaires, they're some of the most miserable people on this planet. They are not happy, and they have the best medical care, psychological care money can buy, and they are miserable and sick, okay? So money doesn't make the difference. Now, when you are in abject poverty and you're in a situation like this, money is very helpful, but it's not actually the magic bullet that's going to fix your life. It comes down to the actual qualities that make us human, that make for a good life. So that's our capacity for compassion, our capacity for love, for connection. And these are all scary things in the interpersonal relationship world, but those are the things that heal us. Those are the things that make us happy. Those are the things that nourish us on a soul level. And you need those things in order to have and maintain a healthy biosuit. There's a healing clinic that I went to a few times, very high end. And a major component of part of what they recognized in the thousands of people that pass through there every year is that the ones that connect with other people, the ones that are social, the ones that share their stories, the ones that come to the groups, they are the ones that are most likely to succeed in their healing journey. The ones that stay isolated, the ones that don't want to interact, this kind of thing, they often falter and don't have a successful of healing journey. So connection is essential. Whether we believe it or not, doesn't matter. Connection is essential. And as empaths, connections have been a dubious, or I'm going to say a precarious place for us because of this matrix overlay that we've been experiencing. A lot of times our connections are toxic. Now here's the thing. It's not about those people being toxic. Those connections are toxic because there are patternings within these unseen nesting dolls expressing themselves through us, through our relationships, okay? That's not to say it's okay to not have good boundaries and stay in a toxic relationship. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just painting the picture that there are other things at play than that person, or the fact that maybe you don't have good boundaries, or the fact that, the family that you were born to, you don't belong in. There's much more going on in that picture than the what we consider that social, familial kind of thing. So we are in a time of transition. These times that we are in right now has been prophesized by not only indigenous elder wisdom keepers, but also in other sorts of teachings. So we have the teachings about the Kali Yuga cycles, the Yugas. There's many different kinds of Yugas, and according to some, not all, but some scholars that study this, there are Yugas that have been going on for more than 1 billion years that are coming to a close. There are smaller cycles coming to a close. And of course, we have the Mayan calendar stories about those cycles coming to a close. And what does that actually mean to us? I mean, we've been talking and theorizing about this for decades. But what this actually means for us is that the patterns held in these outer nesting dolls, these invisible realms that I'm talking about, even ones that have been going on for a long, long time, say billions of years, those cycles are ending, which means the patterns that they have held in place, that maybe we have been exploring in our soul's journey for billions of years, those patterns are ending, okay? That is a really, really big deal. people imagine that, oh yeah, this billion-year cycle, we've been in forever, it's ending, how are we going to see it in our life? We are going to see it in our life, because core, and it manifests in the human experience as core beliefs about reality, core beliefs about ourselves, core beliefs in regards to our relationship with creator and creation. Okay, so when we have cycles like that ending, that means massive crackings to the who we think we are constructs, our ego driver, right? Also, we have deep patterns within our biosuit that have been held in, that are, let's say, a mirror of those cycles that are ending. So that means potentially healing crises, health crises, midlife crises, all this, and it's not going to look the same for everybody. We're all in our own flavor. I have my flavor. You have your flavor. Today, we're talking about this. I'm hoping I'm going to paint this picture where you can understand and feel, understand that the shifting of this transformation that we're in is not without its pain. It's not going to be without its suffering. It's because these structures are so embedded that even though they may be part of that overlaying looshing matrix, they're so embedded, it's what we've known for so long. Some of us probably never had a human experience without these structures being in place. Some of us, I mean, many, actually, if you're here, chances are you are ancient. Okay, ancient. You were around with the original human prototype where, it was before the infiltration. And probably you were many other species of beings as well. I mean, I come across many people who are attracted to the kinds of things that I'm talking about, and they have a resonance as, being other beings, or maybe they even have memories of being other than the human genome type being. Actually, in fact, I was just in the company of a dear starshine where we both have memories of being giants, so these memories are they're not something to just dismiss. They're surfacing, they're coming to the surface because these cycles are ending and the structures of separation that are connected to them are falling. And that means aspects of ourselves that have been separated, memories, records, libraries, Akasha kinds of things that have been separated from us for so long are now coming back home. They're coming back home to our here and now. So that could be, cycles that maybe cause a lot of soul loss that's hanging out in the underworlds of this realm or other realms, right? The mechanisms that kept that separation in place are dissolving and falling away. And of course, like a magnet, those aspects of our life force energy is coming back home without us even thinking about it. And it changes us. It changes us from the inside out. Now, I think last time I talked a lot about the telluric realm waking up. This is a part of the process, but now I'm talking about on a deep soul level, the waking up. Now, for example, of the kinds of transformations that happen with soul retrieval, for example, right? Those of us who have been in the energy medicine world for a long time, the whole idea of soul retrieval or the practice of it is nothing new. It's something that we've probably gotten a lot out of ourselves. So in the old school way, it's a shamanic journey. A shaman or a medicine person or whoever is holding space or facilitating for you would journey, following, tracking. Now, this is not something that you can just psychically know. You can, but there's things that need to get covered. So psychic knowing doesn't always get you to a soul retrieval experience. There's a lot of traversing a journey through the jungle one has to go through to really sometimes get those pieces, because you have to get to the structure that created the wounding, then the different constructs that are holding it separate. Then the actual piece of that soul sometimes needs some remembering itself back to who it was before the injury. I mean, so there's a process to that kind of thing, to the soul retrieval process. It's not just a snap, here it is, and you blow it back into the person. No. It has been in the past a much more evolved kind of situation. but the kinds of healings that happen from that are profound, life-changing realization kinds of healings. So oftentimes one will journey to the underworlds, like I was saying, in this realm or another realm, and a story that is essential to get acknowledged unfolds before the practitioner. And now that because everything that needed to be acknowledged has been acknowledged, and the constructs that created the separation are dissolved, and then the contracts, blah 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 blah, everything else is resolved. I'm talking about in the old days. Then that soul piece can come back, and you can blow it into that person, and they can integrate it. If all those other pieces were not handled appropriately, that soul retrieval may not be successful. But once it is successful, that person is profoundly changed. Now, back in the day, you might have 2 or 3 or 4, maybe a dozen soul retrievals in a lifetime. But what's happening now, it is en masse, and it is beyond just the human experience that's coming home. Okay, so this is a soul retrieval on steroids, someone might say, right? Because maybe parts of us from Sirius are coming back, parts of us from star systems outside of this galaxy are coming back. And that means a profound shift in our subconscious, a profound shift in our physical body is afoot. And when things are happening on that intense level, it's not a joyride integrating that, right? It's very often a very significant, often painful process. I know I'm no rainbows and sunshine, right? No, there is, because on the other side of it, you're changed, and you're more solid in who you are. You're more complete, so to speak, within oneself. What the pain is from the constructs of the ego driver of who we thought and truly believed we were, and what we truly believe this reality is about. When your whole reality crumbles, it's terrifying, as those who've experienced natural disasters, there's natural disasters happening every day all over the world. People in massive upheavals like that understand that, understand what it is that I'm talking about. You guys probably do too, because as a earth seed, star seed, galactic seed, whatever, that particular seeding idea that you really resonate with, we're not a part of the system, so we've kind of always been outside of it. But still, in the process of being outside of it, we still adapted to certain kinds of realities that are shocking when they fall away. A great example would be when someone says something as simple as, I didn't mean to say of, your soul is infinite. Now, once you let that sink in, your soul is infinite. Now, if it's infinite, that means there's no beginning and no end. So then, how were you created? Right? Questions like that completely shatter paradigms for starseeds, you know what I mean? Whatever kind of seeding, otherworldly, divine seeding, angelic seeding, whatever that you're resonating with. Because these paradigms have been in place for a long time, and these paradigms have been in place even in other realms than just this one. And the grand cycles that are ending, it's ending for all realms involved in those cycles. So that means the keepers of the different realms, they're having a shakeup of shifting of reality. These shiftings are happening on all levels, and that means the transformation is intense, and it's not a cakewalk, but that's why we're here. We're courageous warrior spirits, and we have exactly what it takes to make it through. Does it mean it's not painful? No. Does it mean it doesn't suck? No. All those things apply. And we're here because of the opportunity to be a part of the ending of these cycles that we've participated and maybe even most likely colluded with over millions, billions, millions, hundreds of thousands of years, hundreds of years, right? All these different nesting dolls. So in a lot of ways, there's no amount of suffering in a biosuit that's not worth being in the experience of that on the level of the soul, right? On the soul level, that's what it looks like. On a human level, it's like, why did I choose to come here with this much, with this kind of pain, with this kind of heartbreak, with this kind of loss? So here, let's go ahead. There's a few comments coming in. All right, dear Felicia says, okay. Oh, I don't have my readers. All right. Usually my readers are in my head. All right, I have to get close here. It says, gosh, so many levels. 9 for me. Heartache. Yeah, was working with the light ship, City of Light, and it brought to the surface deep sorrow. My sweetie held his hands over his chest, and I sobbed into it. Oh, it's very touching. And though it sobbed into it and through it, had a quality of heartache for a human species for all time. Owie, the pain was huge. Pain was huge. And for some reason, I have this comment box, this share referral link that's totally in my way, and I can't read the rest of it. Oh, here we go. I got it. It was releasing it assisted healing on her tachycardia. On the tachycardia, I didn't have this all day long until 10 p.m. Oh, good for you. Yes, you've been struggling with that for a while. Excellent. Yes, so this is what I mean. It's like the biosuits and the different kinds of diseases and functions, dysfunctions, chronic stuff, it didn't start here. It's rooted in something much more untangible, much more in the deeper realms that only are accessible through our emotional field, our spiritual body. Our mental field is limited too. It's really actually great when we have really intense feelings and sensations that our mind can't touch, because that means we're stepping beyond that polarity grid of how our mind operates. So this is very good for you to have that level of healing. Loss and pain, we are processing loss, grief, heartbreak, not just of this lifetime. We are processing it for our ancestors, the unresolved stuff from our ancestors, and all these cycles from our soul's journey. That's why it's so intense. That's why it's so awful. Okay. And I can speak from my own experience recently. It's like I had this level of, I already talked about this last week, this level of PTSD was like something I've never seen before. It's absolutely astounding how intense it was. Completely transformed me into a different person. And, this is the time. This is the time for all this to come to the surface, because these cycles are all coming to a close, and everything that was accumulated and participating and holding these systems in place in its subsequent nesting dolls are up for the purge. Okay? It's up for the purge. So detoxing is really, this is where I began, is a really excellent tool to help us with that purging. So it's a little less intense, maybe bring a little bit more grace into this purging. And purging can kill us. I mean, our biosuits are these extraordinary hyperdimensional vehicles, but they also have their limit to how much toxins and stress that they can house. Some of us came into this world housing some really, really tough outer nesting doll patternings, power over dynamics. This whole Orion War experience that we're purging, this is something that's been going on for a long time within the soul's journey. The fact that we even can purge it in a single lifetime is unfathomable if you look at it in a much bigger context. The Orion Wars, this is like, what Star Wars was all about, the time from long, long ago, way, way far away. It's something that feels or we sense in our reality as a long distance reality, but those patterns exist within us in the here and now. This is why we're obsessed with those sorts of things when we get exposed to it. This is, when I say obsessed, I'm talking about storylines. We become, as a collective, obsessed with storylines that are showing us something that is a truth that we have been cut off from. Great examples of that is, like I said, the Star Wars. Then you also have the Star Trek phenomenon. Then you also have the Da Vinci Code phenomenon, right? That's a whole nother level. That was going into the poisoning of our 4D realm and our religious systems. I mean, people are obsessed with that storyline. It's because it's telling them something that they are desperate to know deep inside, but are cut off from. Okay? And oftentimes carries key encodements for unlocking something inside of us. If we participated in a lot of ceremonial magic in our other lifetimes, or black magic, black, well, I'm going to go ahead, it's coming out as, black sun dynamics, beast in placing beast machinery dynamics, placing black holes, hijacking stargates. All these things are alive inside of a collective, and some of us have had very specific experiences with that, and it's in our akasha, and the overlaying matrix is so thick here that there's no way for us to really touch those memories until it shows us like this, and we don't consciously understand why we're drawn to something, right? But we are drawn to it, and we do follow that. Sometimes it's an obsession, sometimes it's an addiction, and it will until we figure it out. We might stay in that addiction loop for our entire lives. And this is actually part of the PTSD that's surfacing on a collective level. We are purging. These cycles are ending. Those structures are falling. We are purging many lifetimes of PTSD for ourselves and our ancestry. And this is so significant because PTSD causes a lot of problems for people. Disassociation is one of them. Unexplained anxiety, uncontrollable addictions, unexplainable withdrawal, being a hermit, being antisocial, not being able to open your heart and connect with other people, not being able to be in public. All those things that nurture us on a deep level, we, as with PTSD in our surfacing in our lives, have a strong aversion to. So you can see how this dealing and addressing this collective PTSD is something really worthwhile for us to do, so we can come back home to ourselves, integrate these soul pieces that are coming back en masse, and have connections with others. That is what's going to heal. I'm going to say give us heart level healing, soul level healing. This is what's going to bring us into that nurturing space so we can truly occupy these bodies in a way that is an empowering presence. Because as the stories have told us, and how it's been reflected to us for those of us who've been in contact with different masters, the power of one's presence in a biosuit changes this reality. We can change this reality by just reaching that critical mass of profound embodiment, which translates as presence. Okay? This is what all of this is working towards. It's an opportunity. I'm not going to say guaranteed you're on the timeline of this is going to happen. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the opportunity for more of our higher selves, someone might say more of our quantum to be embodied, it's on its way. And I don't care how awake you think you have been in this life, or how excellent your spiritual practice is, or how excellent your diet and lifestyle has been, we have the profound and daunting task to purge all this so we can embody. Okay? It is a daunting task. That's why there's so many of us here, because there's only a certain amount of us that are going to make it. There's no guarantees, and yet I know that, and I know that nothing's going to stop me. You know what I mean? It's not like I can stop doing what I'm doing. It's like this is a magnet, and I'm on a trajectory, and nothing can stop me. I have to die. I'll have to die to stop, right? And even then, I'll probably, well, I don't want to say that out loud just in case my soul's not necessarily in alignment with that, but I'll probably keep on going in some other kind of capacity, right? So those of us who are here for this purpose, we know wild horses cannot take us off this path. Wild horses, no distraction, no relationship, no family drama, no social drama, no political drama is ever going to stop us from doing what we're doing, ever. Now, Can I get a hallelujah if this is resonating for you? Though this is the level of commitment we have. We don't do this for a reward, and that is, all right, I'm going to go down that tangent. That is a spiritual program sickness that is plaguing the lightworker world. The lightworker world, but also the human spiritual / religious world. There is a program inside of us that tells us that we must worship and glorify in order to be blessed by God, or in order to receive a benefit. So there's this idea, which is really a sickness, and I'm really sorry that it's going to come out harsh. I'm not trying to make it come out harsh. It's just happening that way. Is that there's this idea that if you pray enough, if you're aligned enough, if you do A, B, and C to praise and venerate whatever God you call, then you are going to have miracles and blessings come into your world. That is a lie. That is a lie. Okay? It has nothing to do with how much you worship and glorify anything. It has everything to do with how you be in relationship with your own quantum self. That's the beginning and the end of it. Okay? Now, yes, there are wonderful things that happen when you engage in the God matrix, because those beings value the food that you are. You are offering something absolutely amazing. So unlike toxic relationships, these beings absolutely value the love and praise you offer them, right? They value your attention. They get bigger and stronger with you feeding any of these beings in the God matrix. Any and all these beings in the God matrix absolutely love you for what you do for them, okay? And it's confusing how to unplug out of that, because of these overlays. There's a lie at every level, there's a truth at every level, and it changes depending on what level you're unraveling yourself in. No, I'm not saying there isn't a creator. There absolutely is. There is a benevolent creational force, absolutely. And some may call and it's been said that is the one true God. Yes, and what most people call God, goddess, whatever, that's not what they're connecting with. They're connecting in with Yahweh. They're connecting in with with different pantheons of beings. And I'm not saying these beings are even evil. They're not. They're just in their own nature too. They are part of empire. They are part of that interdimensional empire that we are breaking out of. So we have a daunting task ahead of us moving forward. Now, some of us are going to be let down because maybe we have this idea that once the shifts happen, once the matrix falls away, everything's going to be great. No. There's total mayhem and chaos for a while. There's total mayhem and chaos for a while. And this is where the rubber really meets the road. This is where your spiritual practice either shows that it's on point or not, right? Is in these times of crisis, in these times of transformation. Several chats ago, I mentioned that, to transform means to suffer. There's no doubt about it. Okay? Some of us get a glimpse of what it is to learn and transform through joy. Bravo. Yes, that's amazing. But many of us are still plugged into that old system in such a way where it is a suffering process. It's a painful process to unplug, to let go of it. It's because we have to see it, we have to know it, we have to have it. And then in that chaos, we wake up. And in that experience, if we wake up in the experience of the pain and suffering, then we're awake and now we're done. But how often does that happen? I think for you and I, it probably happens more often than not. For the average human that doesn't have this knowledge, that doesn't have these teachings, and it has all the lies, this is a downward spiral of suffering until they reach the bottom of where they need to reach, and then they have that opportunity to wake up. And I really hope that they do. In my heart and in my mind, I really hope that everybody gets that opportunity to wake up. But unfortunately, what I'm saying is that means everybody has that opportunity to wake up while they're in such intense pain and suffering, you know, unless all of a sudden something happens and a wave comes and we all wake up through joy and celebration. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. And who knows? Maybe there's a timeline where that actually is a way that people can wake up, you know, or will wake up. What I'm seeing now all around me, there is massive falling away, which causes pain because people are afraid and all this other stuff. And there's a very quick building up. So things fall and rise at the same time. For those of us that have been awake for a while, or have been waking, it's more accurate to say, for those of us who have been waking up for a while, we're definitely on that part of the building up, right? We have visions, we have inspiration, we are creating new lifestyles, we are healing ourselves, you know, we're doing what we do. And as we do this, there's those that are on that crumbling part. And it's very likely that a lot of those in that crumbling part are going to notice what we're doing, and they're going to be like, hey, what do you mean you healed your heart disease? Oh, I want that, you know, and then they'll make that leap over. But that's why we're here, to support those who can see once they're shown, right? And help them, bring them aboard, right? Being a multidimensional might seem like it's a more desirable path, but I'm going to say maybe not. It's not easy. It's not easy for lots of reasons. Lots of reasons, because the disconnection, but also we see things, and this is why I do these chats, guys, because we see things in such a unique way. We're very often alone in how we perceive this, and there's no one, hardly anybody maybe, that we can actually talk to about this on this level, right? Example is the war. I mean, there's absolutely no reason for war. There's no reason for war. I don't care what the political talk is. It's all talk. It's not real. It is not real. Okay. For example, the big war that's happening is no one's even talking about, and that is in Yemen. There is a genocide that has been happening in Yemen for more than a decade. Since the Obama administration. Hillary Clinton was the head of state. She is the one who initiated that genocide with Saudi Arabia. Just went to Saudi Arabia. Hey, we will give you all these weapons of mass destruction at discounted rate because we want you to bomb the heck out of Yemen. Now, this has nothing to do with ethnic cleansing. This has everything to do with them taking over and attempting to hijack a Stargate system, a specific Stargate system they're trying to hijack. Now, multidimensional see this, and it's of course that's what makes total sense. But you say this to another human that's not awake on that other level, they're going to think you're crazy. What the hell are you talking about? This is all about politics. In fact, this is all about how awful the Islamic movement is. And then they go into this whole, well, they're after you, so you need to be after them. And they fearmonger on these old seated programs that have a history in our ancestry, and so it resonates and it triggers something, and now we're in the narrative. Until we're not. Unfortunately, it's more attractive to stay in the narrative for a lot of folks than it is to step out and be that multidimensional. But these structures are falling away. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not a question of if. They are. They are right now. I'm not even going to say they're going to be falling away. No, they are falling away right now. It may look like a catastrophe that takes them out. It may look like a war or a bomb that takes them out. They are all falling away right now before our eyes. And the humans that are deeply embedded in those programs, in their meltdown. They're having their meltdown. It might be a little meltdown, you know, every other day, every couple of days, or it might be a daily meltdown. Actually, I'm seeing people on Facebook, which I loathe, but I get drawn to go onto every so often. Some people are having daily meltdowns. It's happening. It's happening. And I also notice the people who are awake on the multidimensional levels, like we are, we try to chime in and say, hey, listen, you know, we have friends and beloveds on both sides of the political spectrum, and you guys, we have more in common than we are separate. Let's get together and be friends. And yet hardly anybody connects with those posts. The algorithm is against that, so that's not what's going to be put in front of people. You see what I mean? This AI, this additional nesting doll of AI algorithmic reality is, I want to say, perpetuating the issue, right? Perpetuating people in these narratives, because that emotional charge needs to be there to keep us hijacked. As soon as you wake up, you don't have the emotional charge, you can't be as hijacked, right? Instead, we wake up to another level of the matrix. Maybe it's new, the strategy we haven't been exposed to yet, and we get hooked in another way. You know, maybe we get hooked in on our own victim story. Maybe we get hooked in because we have an illness that we have to work through, an impossible illness to heal ourselves from. Maybe we get hooked in with the whole idea of saving the children, right? Whatever the hook, it's always emotional. It's always emotionally driven, without exception. And that's because in these outer nesting dolls, we went through these experiences. We went through experiences within our soul's journey where maybe we did really awful things, but we were in the kind of biosuit that didn't have a heart, or maybe didn't have the emotional capacity that these biosuits do. So we wake up to it, that it happened back here, but we're processing it with the biosuit we have right here. And that, my friends, is painful. Because when we wake up to these other memories, great example, I was mentioning the starshine, when we wake up to the memories of what transpired when we were these giants walking this planet, we have the processing, the healing process happens in the here and now, where we have a totally different emotional field. We have a totally different level of sensitivity. So that means our process, is a rude awakening in a lot of ways. So can you imagine having a memory crop up from being, like, let's say an insectoid in another star system, totally different structure, construct, reality, but you wake up to the ripple effect of some of those decisions, and maybe it destroyed a bunch of worlds. Maybe it completely shattered something that was benevolent in creation. We didn't know it at the time, but the ripple effect, now they're at this end of it, we see it, we wake up to it, and now we mentally, emotionally, spiritually process that, right? We process that. And what is the elixir that this sensitivity has to process that? Compassion, love. You see what I mean? It's like we are in these biosuits that are so profoundly powerful, but we're also very vulnerable, because we are now alchemizing things from these ancient cycles, all these yugas, with our current capacity. And our capacity in these biosuits is profound. Our sensitivity is profound. Okay? This is why the intensity is over the top in a lot of cases. All right, here I have one more comment up here. I have had a pattern of being repulsed by release properties, discovering I was controlled to hold on to my pain. Yeah. I think that was programs. That was supposed to be programs. There was a typo now. Anyway, yes. This is the thing. We don't discover the programs until we start experiencing them. Then, if we have the capacity to look beyond the program or see outside of that, then we can realize, oh my gosh, I've been in this program for so long. And everybody here, whether they're causing pain, if they're a source of joy, if they're a source of pain, everybody here, whether they're awake or not or whatever, is here to facilitate the awakening. Okay, everybody. It doesn't matter what kind of schmuck you think they are. It doesn't matter how amazing and angelic you think they are. You know what I mean? Everybody, without exception, is here for that. Even those that people call clones, even those that, the evil Anunnaki, the evil Dracos, the evil whatever, black magic people, right? They are all doing their job. They are all doing what they were assigned to do in this awakening process. Some choose, maybe they realize it, maybe they don't. Some choose to hold darkness as their role in this awakening process. Okay? It doesn't mean that their core light isn't actual quantum or light. It means that they are playing that role in this reality. Maybe go out a few nesting dolls, maybe go out into the cosmic nesting dolls, maybe they're a beautiful, radiant quantum being that's benevolent, that you have more love for than you have the capacity to feel right now, right? That is completely possible. This is why it's all an inside game. We have to pay attention to what our garden is doing, okay? Everything here reflects back everything. Now, that's not to say that all the shitty people you experience in this life means that you're a shitty person. No. What you pay attention to is your feeling, your thoughts, the experience you're having on the inside when you're experiencing that person, right? It's not that you let yourself be vulnerable to it. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you value what you are sensing and feeling inside when you're interacting with this. And then you decide what is a loving, compassionate thing for yourself in relationship. Those are the questions you ask. There's this teaching in Christianity, what would Jesus do, right? When in the right context, that's a beautiful thing to ask yourself that can really open your heart and bring you into a more benevolent relationship to certain things. But unfortunately, that's used to also create a lot of judgment and shame, and it's misused in a way where a person isn't actually answering. The answer isn't coming from an empowered place. The answer is coming into a more of, I'm a lowly sinner or whatever place, right? Everywhere the distortions are. But this nervous system stuff that's coming up is so important, so we can release the toxins the chemical toxins. We can release the mental, emotional, spiritual toxins. We can release the things that are causing physical problems, and truly receive this, I'm going to call it quantum level soul retrieval that's happening right now for humanity. So we can truly hold our vessel in such a way for this exponential integration of self takes place. There's so much to this, what I see going on in the larger landscape. Here we don't have another comment. Here we go. Working at releasing alien implants being, yes, okay, yes. So implant technology, that's a thing. So a lot of times the gateway, the Stargate, where a lot of certain technologies that have been turned in, that were benevolent, that became malicious, a lot of times the beings that had that kind of technology in their consciousness that brought it to this reality, they're the ones made the bad guys, right? But that's not, but their role for us is the same as with other humans. We have agreements with certain soul groups and whatnot to facilitate things benevolent or painful or whatever. But the fact is, it was an agreement for that to get facilitated, right? So that's the same for the ET levels, the interdimensional ETs. That's the same for the Dracos. That's the same for the, I can't remember their name. They're the ones that are like they're beetle, but they're also aquatic. It's like this strange mesh of amphibian and insectoid. Those guys. It's like, they too are contracted. So as we integrate, a lot of times those things will just pop off because those old agreements are no longer relevant. But there are times when we really need to pay attention to things like what she's mentioning about the implants, because some implants have been there for so long. We have a lot of our own story. We have a lot of our own understanding to what happened that has to get acknowledged. So if you just say you have an abduction experience in this life, and maybe you didn't have a lot of other ones, and there was an implant, you came back with an implant. Those are going to be pretty easily removed because there's not a lot of inertia. There's not a lot of buildup, snowballing of experiences around the implant. But say an implant happened 1 million years ago in your body as a let's say a Draco warrior, right? That implant travels with you through your soul's journey. That one, and say you had 1,000 more incarnational experiences as many different other beings, that kind of implant is going to take a minute to fully allow to unravel. A lot of times it means we need to remember key moments in that journey that anchored in some trauma drama, that anchored in some massive levels of soul loss, right? Very often that's what it is. It's that kind of thing. Not always, but very often. So it really depends on when someone says I remove implants, it's like, I have a lot of questions around that, because sometimes it is a quick thing, and other times it's a much more involved process. Except these days with this exponential soul retrieval thing happening. So as this integrates, it'll actually start kicking some of these implants out, because the cycles that those implants were connected to the construct of those cycles are done, and it's done in such a way, it's dissolved in such a way, that inertia and those implants can't actually just pop right off. Everybody's very unique. And the other thing that's very confusing, can be confusing about implants, sometimes they're done to maintain a separation, to maintain soul loss, or to maintain a certain kind of emotional distortion, and actually the emotional body implants are some of the most damaging ones, because we have this distortion in our emotional field that blinds us to things that are really important for us to have contact with, to have feelings with, right? And other times, and as I was saying before, our mental field is polarized, and there's only so many dimensional realities our mental field can engage. There's only so many imaging understandings this can have. But our emotional field is quite expansive, and we can feel in our emotional field things that happen in other realms, other even galaxies out in the cosmos. We can actually touch that with our emotional field. So if there's an emotional body implant in there creating a disturbance, it creates like a wall or a frequency fence. That's a good way of saying it. A frequency fence that actually cuts us off from connecting and being informed by that aspect of our being. So remember, we are quantum beings. We are right here. A certain part of us is right here. The part of the frequencies that our bodies can embody are right here. But then there's other aspects of us in these other nesting dolls. There are celestial aspects of us. There are galactic aspects of us. There are supercluster aspects of us. There are cosmic aspects of us, and so on and so forth, right? We are that vast. So this biosuit that we're occupying in this realm that we are experiencing, I don't want to say it's important in the sense that, if this realm falls, then there's no hope for life. That's not true at all. It's just that this is a very special realm where a being can come and experience a highly accelerated evolutionary process. And that is why this realm is so sacred to so many beings. It's because you can have eons worth of evolution in just a lifetime or two here. Okay? And the whole idea of life evolving is expansion, 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 until the expansion is reached its maximum. And then there is the inhalation, which is the coming home to self. So now it's contraction, contraction, but it's not contraction in the sense of closing off, injuring. It's contraction in the sense of what's happening now is this quantum soul retrieval is happening. We're coming back home. Coming back home, the inhalation is a journey of joy, of love, of unification. Okay. So you can feel for yourself, are you on the inhalation or are you on the exhalation? And by just simply having an intuitive sense of what that is, you can maybe find more peace and more perspective about the journey that you're on. This en masse journey that we're on is intense, and it's going to get more intense. I feel like this is only the beginning, really. Some people say 2025 is where it's going to be the most, but I'm feeling like it might be a little, it might take a little longer now. Maybe 20 years, maybe 200 years, who knows? What's important is that we don't get attached to an outcome, because that makes us susceptible to being hijacked and taken over, right? It's all about the now. It's all about right now. And I highly recommend for you guys that are having some pretty significant, stumbling blocks you're facing, really take a look at that detoxing and that PTSD piece. This is really up, and it's going to continue to be up. And of course, there's lots of ways to deal with it, but the first step is always awareness. The extreme anxiety, the disassociation, the not wanting to be around people, the not wanting to be alive in this world, overwhelming addictions that really have your life force energy, a lot of your life force energy captured. These are all things that are signs of PTSD. If you had abuse, abandonment as a child, there's PTSD. There's a study, oh my gosh, it's top of the hour already. Time flies. I'm going to finish this thought and then sign off. There's a study that was done about why certain veterans had shell shock and others did not. And it all had to do with their upbringing. They realized the common denominator, the people who had the worst came home with the worst kind of expressions of shell shock, had a lot of abandonment, pain, and abuse in their childhood. Those that went through the same experience and did not have that shell shock, they had more stable, emotionally nourishing childhoods. So how we grew up has a lot to do with the kind of embodiment of the PTSD we have. Okay, so do know that's a big factor, big factor. All right. So with that thought, all out there for you guys. I just want to remind everybody, this is the last chat that we're going to have for a couple weeks. I will be off grid for a while. I have this training that I'm going to, and then I'm going to be in the woods, away from any kind of technology. So hope you guys have a wonderful trip. There's going to be a few weeks where I don't see you. Hope you guys all make it make it worth your while. And if you guys are interested in connecting, or you feel like you're ready to start connecting with the community on your level, connecting with the community that is about really showing up for each other and authentic expression, and everybody is in the process of learning how to develop a strong energy field and become a strong person that's able to take their empathic abilities and get a lot of strength and awareness, like turning your burden into a gift, this kind of thing. I encourage you guys to check out that Essentials, Life Body Essentials program that we have. We get together 3 times a month. One of them is all about tools for strengthening your energy field, getting a grip of your empathic abilities. The other is about clearing things on a quantum level and downloading encodements that help reinforce your path of becoming. And then, of course, the third one, which is lots of fun, is where you get to practice what it is to track energy on a multidimensional level and be seen in your gifts. So I highly encourage you guys, if this is something that resonates, don't wait. Go ahead and go to lifebodyacademy.com and sign up. It's very affordable. All right. And with that, I will see you guys in 3 weeks. Not next week, not the week after, the week after that. I'll see you then. Mwah. Bye-bye.